by itself.
The ultimate limit of that is the arms necessary to prevent. Basically, you can own any arm that is necessary to necessary.
They're fucking killing Arnie kids, so you're telling me it isn't real when they had a fucking vote in the goddamn fucking Senate?
You're being replaced, and there's nothing you can do about it. So shut up.
Welcome, everyone, to the Ready to Rumble podcast, where we bring you the best of the worst on Rumble. As always, I'm your favorite bard, Korak the Bard, and I am joined by my ever-stoic and stalwart co-host, your own personal doctor and mine, Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
Thank you, Bard. Thank you. I am Dr. Scorpion the Bird. I am a real doctor. I am not a real bird, and I am here for the nerd shit.
As am I. So again, we are continuing our slog through the obituary section of the paper. We are almost done. I think this will be the final episode to seal the deal, and then we can get back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yes. Yep. We've only got a few clips today, but they're important because, again, we're trying to bring you an overview of how Rumble reacted to the deaths of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan. So I found some fun ones. We're gonna have some fun today.
Excellent. I could use some fun after, our coverage was rudely interrupted by Charlie Kirk getting assassinated. So, of course, we had to cover that and all of the things that we would have covered if he were still alive. And he just made the regular rotation of our Rumble watch list, but had to cover him. And we were in the middle of covering Ozzy, and it just wouldn't be right to move on without finalizing that chapter in the book. So we will get back to your regularly scheduled program after this episode, in which we will finally lay to rest Ozzy Osbourne and all of the terrible things that Rumble podcasters have to say about him.
Yeah.
But before we get started, Doc, how about you tell me something good?
Well, my something good for this week was what I hinted at last time, which is that I've been renovating. Specifically, I've been tearing up the terrible cream-colored carpet that was through my house. I'm not sure how many of our listeners are aware, but cream is a terrible color for a carpet. Because even if I didn't live in a house that had two adults, two technically adults have only just stopped being children, 3 dogs, 3 cats, and up until very recently a bird as well, it's still a house that has me in it. Me who regularly forgets what he stepped in on the way up to the house, and who can barely walk 2.5 steps without spilling a cup of coffee. And of course, I drink way too much coffee. So cream was such a bad color for a carpet. So we've taken out the carpet, we've replaced it with floorboards, and so I managed to do 3 rooms entirely, managed to install floorboards in 3 rooms using a circular saw, using a jigsaw, using a reciprocating saw. Man, I have never felt more manly. And I managed to do it all without losing any appendages. The most severe injury that I got was, it doesn't look like much now, but I tore my palm when I broke down an old shelving unit, and a lump of dried glue that had a bunch of splinters attached to it scraped my palm.
Power tools, no problem. Glue?
Correct. It's the glue that's the danger, not the power tools. And that was day one as well. So every day of actually, whacking stuff and sawing stuff, I had this, cut on my hand that was, not comfortable. And of course, when you've got a bandage right there on your hand, they don't stay in place very long. And so, that wasn't fun. But this was my most handyman moment of my entire life, was the drop saw and the hammers and the stuff. So that's my something good, is that I guess I've talked about the guitar that I put together at the start of the year, that I got for Christmas, and I talked about making modifications to that guitar as well. One of the pickups that I changed in it, I had to route out the body a little bit, create a little bit of a bigger hole because the pickup was a different size. But doing all of that actually made me realize that, holy shit, I can actually do stuff. I'm not keep telling myself. So yeah, so that's my good thing for the week is not only do the floors in my house look much, much better, but I through the process I sort of have a new belief in my own ability to use my own hands to do things. So there you go.
Nice. You renovated your house with power tools. I now pronounce you
Yeah.
a man, my son.
Yeah. Like I said, cut so many planks. I've lost count. And yeah, all fingers are where they should be. So yeah, that was a bit of a win on its own. So, but no, the floors look great. I managed to keep the patterns, because the way you join them in, you get like 2 and a bit boards for that one, and so then you get a bit and then a couple more boards, and so you get this nice staggered pattern of the join. So yeah, no, it looks great. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very pleased with how it finished up, and yeah, and I have this newfound confidence in my own ability to do stuff. So that might be something I have to think about going forward, is actually doing stuff.
Am I a handyman? Yes, I am a handyman.
I might
I'm
actually
a
be,
handyman.
yeah. Well, because the other part of the project too was installing a new storage system in our wardrobe, in our closet. And it was a pretty basic IKEA one. You put the rails up here, you put the racks along here, and then you hang the various drawers and shelves and things. It's very simple, but I still had to get rid of the old one. Aforementioned old shelving unit. I still had to plaster up where I'd ripped off the holes left behind the other one. Because some of the plugs did a bit of damage on the way out. Welcome to our new podcast, Bad Handyman Talk with rank amateur Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
It's the layman's hour.
But yeah, putting everything up, making sure it's all level, making sure you're drilling into the studs, all that good stuff. And of course, because I'm a middle-aged man, when I got my stud finder out, I did have to activate it, hold against my chest and say, found one, because I believe that's a federal law in all English-speaking countries.
Just like when you grab the drill, you got to, that's
100%.
required.
Yeah. Clicking the tongs, zip the drill, and found one with a stud finder. Those are the 3 dad things that are required by federal law.
Absolutely.
So my closet looks good, plastered, painted, floorboards, new storage system. So that's my good thing. That's occupied basically all my free time since we recorded the last episode has been me taking care of all of that.
Well, I've seen the finished photos, and it was time well spent, man. And bravo, well done on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, how about you, Bard? What's your something good for the episode?
Well, sadly, I have some dark days ahead. I have to return to the United States for personal reasons. I've got some family members I need to check on that have fallen ill. So I'm not looking forward to that. So in light of that, I have tried to find the silver lining. You got to find happiness where it is. And I mentioned this maybe a couple of weeks ago. I'm still going to sing the praises of Team Cherry that developed Hollow Knight Silk Song. I know a member of your household was playing it and they beat it. I finished Act 2. And I reached this point where at the end of Act 2, you beat kind of the final boss. And you get a little cutscene and it rolls credits. And you're like, wait, this can't be all there is to it, because I have come to expect far more from this company. And I was right, because as soon as you start playing, once you beat the boss, you find out there's a whole other Act 3. So this harkens back to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, where you feel like you've beaten the game and then the entire castle flips upside down and it's a whole new game. So similarly, Act 3 in Silk Song, there's a cataclysmic event. Spoilers, by the way. So if you're going to play it, I'm talking about the end game. But yeah, the characters are all different. The locations are all different because of this event once you've actually beaten it. So they throw you a little head fake, be like, hey, here's the end credits. But, if you keep playing. So mad kudos and props to Team Cherry. I am not a paid sponsor. I wish I were, because those guys are fucking rich, even though they're selling their game at $20 a pop. And there's just 3 of them. So Team Cherry, please sponsor this podcast and I will sing your praises forever.
Team Cherry, hit us up. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yes, my one of my teenagers in the house has been obsessed with Hollow Knight for a long time. and
They a real one, rightfully so.
Yeah, and was one of the people who caused the colossal global crash of all eShops on release night. Yeah,
Right here. Yep.
yeah, but yeah, they've been playing it. They got their way through it, and they were inspired to go back to the original Hollow Knight and redo the Path of Pain, which I'm given to understand is an extremely difficult part of the original Hollow Knight.
Which should be a cakewalk now, because Silksong was very challenging, and the Path of Pain was just kind of sprinkled throughout the game, where it's like, oh, there's some serious platforming here, and it's instant death if you screw up.
Yeah, well, I think that was part of what inspired them was that if you can get through Silksong, exactly what you say, Path of Pain, you're ready for it. I haven't played either game myself. They're not quite my style of game. I'm more of the open world RPG type game myself. Although having said that, my most recent gaming obsession has been Stardew Valley, which is a lovely little, if you're not familiar with it, it's a lovely little cozy village life simulator. It's unfair to call it a farming simulator. It's a village life simulator, but it's a lot of fun just to putter around and talk to people and catch fish and various bits and pieces. If you're looking for a cute little game, Stardew Valley, highly recommend it. But yeah, Silksong, it's a phenomenon. It's huge. So yeah, Team Cherry, hit us up. We'll say nice things about you as often as we can for as long as we can.
Absolutely. And next time you see the child that's been playing Silksong, walk up to them and say, Poshenko. And if they don't respond with Poshenko, they have failed the game. They didn't get what they were supposed to get, because Poshenko is a big deal. So yeah, you can test you can test how complete they went through the game if they were completionists, because Poshenko should mean something. It's like the tongs. Like you give someone tongs, they're supposed to click it twice. So you say Poshenko, they're supposed to say Poshenko back.
I will do that. I will do that very thing. All right.
Excellent. All right. So we're almost through the entirety of the obituary section, and this should put this chapter to rest, and then we can get back to our regularly scheduled program. So, Doc, what are we talking about today?
We are talking today about Rumble's response to the deaths of Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan, which, if you recall, occurred back in July, 24 hours roughly apart from each other. And it's been interesting during our examination to compare and contrast how they viewed both of those men, given that one of them was a heavy metal singer, well known for his substance use, for his use of demonic, satanic imagery through his lyrics and through his stage shows. And one was a professional wrestler / actor. He was in movies. They were terrible, but we have to acknowledge the fact that he was in them.
They were movies.
They were movies. They were definitely movies. But of course, he was everything that the right-wing loves. He had a facade of being moral when, in fact, he was a flaming racist who banged his friend's wife. He had a facade of clean living, take your vitamins, when in truth he did a bunch of steroids and, let's face it, plenty of cocaine as well. So the comparison between the way that they view Ozzy Osbourne as a dark, demonic entity worthy of derision and Hulk Hogan, who very much cosplayed being a good person while in fact being a very, very bad person, it's been interesting. So we're going to continue with a bit of that today.
All righty. Let's dive into it. I told you beforehand I was going to be sober for this. I did not say I would remain sober, so I brought along a little Chardonnay.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with a gentleman we saw last episode, whose name is Chad Prather.
Chad, yay! Chad. Was he the conspiracy theorist about the Charlie Kirk stuff?
He had a conspiracy theory. Yes, he wasn't the conspiracy theorist we finished with, who was, completely cuckoo bananas crazy. He's more along the lines of your generic right-wing Christian barbecue dad. If you were to scoop up 10 random dads from a barbecue in the south of the States where everybody votes right-wing and goes to church, 7 of them will be Chad Prather.
So yet another Chad. Oh, lovely.
Yeah. As a generic middle-aged white guy, it offends me how generic and middle-aged white guy Chad and his co-host Steve actually are. They're almost
Steve.
Chad and Steve. They are almost aggressively generic, as you'll see in just a minute when we roll the clip.
See, that's why I wear the Hawaiian shirt. I stand out a little bit. I'm making an effort. I'm doing something.
Yeah, you don't have yourself an accent that is exotic by the standards of the average North American, so you got to have something, I guess.
Right.
Okay,
right. Let's get to the bland caucasity of it all.
God, that is so perfect. All right, let's go.
It's interesting to see. Ozzy died yesterday at 76 years old. Ozzy Osbourne had Parkinson's disease. And, music plays a big role in people's lives. I think music is one of the things that does bring people together.
100%. Yeah.
Especially if you're the CEO of Astronomer and with your HR, Coldplay will bring you together.
I can remember my very first Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath experience.
Okay, so I had mentioned previously that Chad Prather calls himself a comedian because comedian is not a protected term and therefore no one can stop him.
True.
What we just heard was Chad's capital B, capital J best joke.
Oh, shit. Did I miss it?
Yes, you did. That reference to the Astronomer CEO and his HR manager at the Coldplay concert, that was Chad's best joke.
Okay, because I got the reference, and I was like, "That's weird that he's bringing that up," because I remember that happened. But how does that relate to Ozzy? But that was a punchline.
That was a punchline. I've watched a little bit of Chad's content now. I've watched a few minutes of his videos. I won't nowhere near an hour because I haven't. I'm still here. I haven't taken a. We won't reference self-harm on the video.
This has been 15 seconds, and I'm already ready to open the vein. Like this can't. I can't.
All of Chad's comedy is like that. All of it.
Why do you use the word comedy? That's
because the English language is limited in the number of words that I can really use to apply to what he does.
There's got to be a German word for intending comedy, but unintentionally being hilarious, ironically.
Yeah. Any event, if we got a German-speaking listener, hook us up and Glaufschleichhuckelfachen or something that like that. Yeah, like something in the vein of that face in need of a punch word that they've got that I can never remember what it is.
Right, like Schadenfreude. Like that's one of my absolute favorite words that covers so many things. Okay.
Yeah. So German-speaking listeners, we're looking for a word that means sad and pathetic comedy that's not in the slightest bit funny, but you kind of smile along in acknowledgement of the fact that it's supposed to be comedy and so that the host doesn't put a gun in his mouth.
Pleiten Schutenstiest.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But yes. So what you heard there was a reference to the Astronomer CEO who was caught at a Coldplay concert on the big screen with a woman who was not the woman he was married to, who was his HR manager. And you'll notice too that co-host Steve didn't respond. Not in the slightest.
Anyone.
Yeah. But that's what I loved about that moment most, is that co-host Steve just dead battered that joke. And I know we're going on a lot about one tiny joke, but I need our audience to understand we just heard peak Chad Prather comedy. It does not get better from here. Anything else you listen to that he's done or any of the videos he produces, one of the things that he does on his channel is that he produces videos of things like congressional hearings. He did one recently with Senator Elizabeth Warren speaking to RFK Jr. And what he will
let
do...
me guess. He called her Pocahontas.
No,
he did. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't do that. No, MAGA's moved on from that, I believe. I mean, the content producers have moved on. The MAGA people themselves haven't, because collectively they have the sense of humor of a 9-year-old. But Chad himself takes very selectively and very deceptively edited clips from things like congressional hearings, and will then drop in a little clip of Dave Chappelle going, "Damn," or something like that at a point.
Edgy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Again, this is Chad's comedy. This is why the crack about the CEO is peak comedy, because I don't believe that anybody over the age of 10 would look at that video and think that that was funny in the slightest. In conclusion, we need a comic registry board and a licensed a system of licensure for comedians, so as that only people who can pass a minimum set number of comedy units per minute can legally use the word comedian.
That's why it's called a tight 5. You have to submit your tight 5.
Yeah.
But I want to go back. Can we hear the joke again?
Absolutely, we can. I'll remind our listeners too that the Rumble video player sucks.
And music plays a big role in people's lives. I think music is one of the things that does bring people
music,
together.
like fucking
especially if you're the CEO of Astronomer, and with your HR, Coldplay will bring you together.
I remember my very first Ozzy
Okay.
Osbourne Black Sabbath experience. As a kid.
Did you go to a concert?
I got it. Jokes. Oh, I got it the second time. It was so highbrow. I missed it on the first way out. Wow.
Yeah. So we'll talk a bit more about Chad in the future, because Chad is absolutely that type of B verging on C list Rumble. Celebrity is not the word. Personality is the better word that our show was absolutely tailor-made for. So we will talk more about Chad in the future. For now, we'll just roll this clip a little more as they talk about their own experiences with Ozzy Osbourne.
I was a teenager. It's had to have been in the 80s. I was at Baptist camp. Man, we broke up records, threw them in the fire because, they were devil worshipers.
Well, my thing here is, and so I wasn't going to say anything yesterday on this deal, but I find it as an opportunity to point people towards what I consider to be the truth. And it's with sadness that more than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. Is with his family and surrounded by love. We ask everyone to respect their family privacy at this time. That's Sharon, Jack, Kelly, Amy, and Lewis, whatever his name is. Crazy Train. That's the only song I can name. So obviously I'm not a fan. I'm not taken away from anything Ozzy did as an entertainer. And people came at me yesterday because I made this post here. I said the news of Ozzy Osbourne's passing has prompted reflection on his life legacy and where he is now. Known for his intense career and embrace of darker themes, one can only hope he found peace and turned to Jesus in his final moments. This serves as a reminder our time on earth is finite. We all face an eternal destination. It's never too late to seek reconciliation with God.
So there's never a moment that a certain type of Christian won't use to push their brand. A certain type of Christian will always take that opportunity, appropriate or not, to push their line, push their faith. And of course, Ozzy's not around to defend himself, to leap up and say, fuck no, what are you talking about? Of course I didn't. Or to point out, actually, I've been a Christian the entire time. What the fuck have you been talking about? He can't do that. He's dead. And so that means that there's not a damn thing to stop Chad from making posts like that.
And you were so on point with the caucasity of it all, because he's just reading this off as if it's profound, but he's just reading word on the page. So it doesn't matter what he's saying. He could be saying Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and life, and he's going to send you to hell if you don't say. It doesn't matter what he's saying. He's just going to be saying like this, and it's the most mundane, vapid vanilla ice cream that you can think of. And oh my God, the lack of inflection or poetry or prose in his voice, just so mid. It's so mid what the kids are calling it these days.
Yeah, we are down with the kids.
We used to call it lame.
We used to call it lame. Yeah, I'm no longer 14, so I don't call things lame anymore. But your point is exactly correct. Those are generic platitudes that you could use about anybody.
Yeah.
And it's coming from, and this is one of the things I found interesting too, going through these Rumble hosts, is none of them want to admit that they know Ozzy Osbourne or that they know Black Sabbath or that they recognize the music. Statistically, given how big given how big
that's the tribute band.
Yeah, well, that's a middle-aged man's scrotum. Given how big Black Sabbath was and how popular Ozzy Osbourne was in his solo career, it is statistically impossible, not just unlikely or improbable, but impossible that none of these Rumble people were fans.
Well, I never seen no Iron Man either, so I never heard no Iron Man theme song. Like Crazy Train's the only song. Okay,
yeah, only Crazy Train. Yeah. Not Iron Man, not Paranoid. Come on.
Even Crazy Train, you're just going to, so that was just one song. Like Crazy Train, though. Like that was a fucking song. So.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I don't believe you. I don't believe you've listened to a classic rock station for more than 20 minutes and not heard Paranoid. I don't believe you. Again, the statistics make what you're saying impossible. But they all desperately want to acknowledge that, of course they know who Ozzy Osbourne was. Not much of a fan. I had one experience. Baptist camp breaking up records and throwing them in the fire. I'm sure the band hated the fact that you bought those records beforehand and then threw them in the fire. That's terrible for their sales.
Exactly. And now we're finding some parallels between the 800-year-old Victor and the younger class of Rumble podcasters who are like, I didn't even dabble. Black Sabbath. I don't know. Ozzy Osbourne, was he Swedish? I don't know.
Yeah,
just dude. But Hulk fucking Hogan, who was a wrestler. Okay.
Yeah.
And the album, the one album Hulk produced, he was just a cameo on it. So. He did nothing for the music world, but he did have Pasta Mania, the restaurant that closed, because it was a wrestler's pasta-themed wrestling restaurant.
Oh, I forgot about Pasta Mania. My
superpower is memory. I never forget that shit. He ruined wrestling and pasta at the same time. How do you even do that?
Yeah. So look, I think we've heard enough from Chad and Steve. Again, if you want to hear more, head down to your nearest suburban white guy barbecue.
If you find a place where the macaroni and pasta salad is bland, you're in the right spot.
Yeah, absolutely. So next we're going to hear from a guy who was new to me.
There will be a supercut of editorial things where it's like, fucking Rumble, god damn it, why is again with this shit? There will be a supercut of that sometime in the future.
All right. So
what's this next clip, Doc?
This next clip comes from a guy I hadn't come across before, whose name is Frankie Val. He has a show called Quite Frankly, because wordplay is what Rumble's best at. And he's going to give us his opinion on Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan.
Okay, with the Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne losses, I know there's more. I saw that. What's his name? Mangione died.
Luigi Mangione?
I believe that was the trumpet player.
Names that are so big and you've been around for so long that even if you never listened to them or watched them, you just know them. And that's just one of those things, man. It's been interesting. And I'll probably bring this up again next Tuesday if I have Tim and Jay on with me. But they were both, first of all, Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne were both messed up by surgeons, by the way. I think, and both neck surgeries as well. I know Ozzy years ago when he had that neck surgery that essentially paralyzed him. He was really not doing a lot of walking or anything like that. He believed to, I guess his last day, that he didn't believe it was even necessary, but it screwed him up.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause right there because, yes, Ozzy Osbourne had neck surgery a couple of times in his life and it didn't go great for him. He had a fall back in, I believe it was 2015-ish, when he was in his 50s, which did a lot of damage to his neck. At the time, he was told that if he didn't have the surgery, he would likely end up paralyzed. So he had the surgery. He did not end up paralyzed, but he was in constant pain. And so for the last decade or so of his life, he was in constant pain. There are videos out there of neurosurgeons who discuss the procedure that he had, who discuss the risks associated with it, and who discuss the usual outcomes from that type of procedure. One thing you got to remember is that necks and spines are so incredibly complex and so incredibly delicate that it's incredibly easy to do a lot of damage when you're performing surgery in that area. And so it's not something that surgeons do lightly. You know, it's not something that surgeons are going to do if they have literally any other option. And so I am personally annoyed at this type of mindset that people will come along and they will say, well, he didn't even need it, or they really messed him up. I mean, surgeons don't operate on your neck unless you're messed up already. And they're not going to do it unless they think that they're going to be able to make you less messed up. And as anybody who's had any kind of neck or spinal surgery performed can tell you, you're not going to come out the other side not messed up. You're going to come out the other side slightly messed up, less messed up than you were before, with a lower chance of getting more messed up in the future. Because necks and spines are terrible. They're not, yeah.
And it's the same hand waving they do whenever there's a doctor or an expert involved. Just, oh, you went to an expert to get a real opinion. You're believing in the woke mob. Like, yeah, I went to a spine doctor to get fixed up. So to turn it on the doctor is just, yeah. As soon as he mentioned a doctor, I was like, oh, was Ozzy going for trans surgery? Like, is that where we're going with this? What's the problem?
But yeah, it's to use your American phrase, it's Monday morning quarterbacking of the worst kind. Yeah. Now, Ozzy himself, at the end of his life, he was saying quite openly that he regretted having the surgery. He did say that if anybody was to talk to him about getting the same procedure done, he would advise them not to unless they had no other option. And certainly by the end of Ozzy's life, you know, the combined neck pain and the Parkinson's, he was not in great shape. He was in a lot of pain. Movement in general for him was difficult. His wife, Sharon, was essentially his 24-hour carer. So it wasn't good. That doesn't mean that not having the surgery would have been better. And that's the critical point, is that just because you're bad post-surgery doesn't mean you would have been better with no surgery. Yeah, and again, nerves, spinal cords, vertebrae, they are so incredibly complex and they are so incredibly delicate. And for as good as medicine is in general at treating stuff in that area, it's not 100%. It's unlikely to ever be 100%. Again, if you talk to anybody who has had any kind of procedure done in that general area, they will tell you that it will never return you to 100% functionality, but it will at least stop things from getting worse. Yeah.
And for our international viewers, especially those in Australia, the term is armchair quarterbacking.
Well, see, the issue is we don't have quarterbacks in this country.
Or armchairs. What do you call them? Like lazy boys? What is it?
Oh, yeah, lazy boys. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Lazy boys are great. Well, I mean, you have recliners. You have recliners, don't you?
Oh, you don't call them recliners?
Not everything in this country is drop the last syllable and add an O.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure.
Most things in this country are drop the last syllable and add an O, but not everything. Okay? Not everything.
Yeah, McDonald's is Mac-Uz, which is with an AS. So there's not Mac-O's.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Only 98%.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to do any more of Frankie Val, partly because I want to do more of him in the future, and partly because this take annoys me. Hulk Hogan, we'll mention Hulk Hogan briefly. Of course, Hulk Hogan, as a professional wrestler, his entire spinal neck region was fucked. It was just fucked. Yeah, you don't.
Getting dropped on your head for a living can do that.
Well, yeah, you don't do things like raise Andre the Giant above your head without some kind of consequence.
Yep.
You know,
or just getting in the ring with the man. Like Jake the Snake had stories about how Andre slipped when he was supposed to flatten him, but hold his own weight, but his hand slipped and he landed square on Jake the Snake's chest. And he was like, I heard everything crack all the way down. I was like, I bet you did, because a 500-pound man sat on your chest. Ow.
Well, again, and I mentioned it last episode, Andre the Giant passing out in the lobby of a fancy Parisian hotel. No one could move the guy, so they just put the velvet ropes up around him, just turned him into a
he became part of the tour.
Yeah. And apparently that's what happens. Sleeping giant, yes. Yeah. So all of their fancy people were coming in the morning, sort of giving this enormous, ridiculously huge man a weird look on the way past, until he slept it off sufficiently and just got up and walked away. Yeah.
Good enough. Whew.
Yeah. I mean, he was the size of a small car. Can't we talk about Andre the Giant? That's way more entertaining than Hulk fucking Hogan.
Yeah. Give me a lot more reasons to use my impression as well. And he died at my age, by the way, 46.
Yeah, he was. So for those of you who weren't aware, and I kind of want to mention this too because of something that Tristan Tate tweeted out recently.
I know exactly where you're going with this, and I had the same visceral reaction.
Yeah. Alleged, and boy, alleged is doing a lot of work and won't be there for long, I guarantee it. Alleged human trafficker Tristan Tate, brother of Andrew, current contender for worst person alive. He called, what was his exact phrasing?
A perfect genetic specimen was Andre the Giant, and we should all try to achieve that level of body supremacy or something like that.
Right. Andre the Giant had acromegaly, which is a condition caused by excessive production of growth hormone from what is usually a pituitary tumor. It's not genetic. It's, what gets referred to as idiopathic, which literally means, I don't know, disease.
It just shows up sometimes.
Yep. Idiopathic literally means disease of unknown origin. Dunno. But for acromegaly, you get a small tumor in the pituitary. It's a functional tumor, which means it's secreting a thing, and in the case of acromegaly, what it's secreting is growth hormone. And so with growth hormone, you have that very characteristic face type that Andre the Giant had. Generally, you have overgrowth of the bones, so you're very tall. But it comes with things like heart problems, because your heart overgrows, and that's what killed Andre the Giant was the heart failure. Yeah. Even without the career in professional wrestling, people with acromegaly tend to have a lot of spine and skeletal issues because of that overgrowth, because the bones grow way more than they're supposed to. And, so often it comes with the types of chronic pain that Andre the Giant experienced and likely would have experienced independent of his wrestling career, which, as we mentioned previously, is one of the reasons why he drank so goddamn much, is because alcohol was one of the only effective pain relievers that he had towards the end of his life. But the point of it all, of course, Tristan Tate's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I did respond to his tweet by saying, he had this condition, and if having a tumor in your pituitary is what brings about peak male performance and leads to alpha dogs, well, follow in his footsteps. Put a tumor in your brain and die at the age of 46, please.
Yeah,
I'm waiting.
God, do us all a goddamn favor. Yeah. Okay. Oh, one more thing I want to show us. For Frankie Val, we're going to skip back to slightly earlier in the clip. So, audience,
every time you say Frankie Val, I hear Frankie Valley. I'm like, there can't be any relation there, obviously, but
I know
like, sounds like some edgelord trying to be,
but yeah, it's
Tesla Economics
Jesus,
on Twitter.
Making up words now,
and it said the following: the Tesla diner reminds me that the future is worth getting excited about. This was my first time arriving, and I couldn't even find the words except, wow, this is exactly what I imagined the future to be. Charging my Tesla, grabbing a burger and a drink, watching a movie, all in one futuristic place, surrounded by the products and the people I love. And Tesla just made it real. So, I mean, here it is. This is a 2-minute video. So somebody's rolling up on one of these new Tesla diners, and there is an outside movie theater. It's essentially a drive-in theater.
So if you recall, the Tesla diner opened up back in July.
Yeah.
To a lot of excitement and some rave reviews by people who were very definitely paid to make rave reviews. And so Frankie... SponCon? The heck you say? Yeah. So Frankie spends several minutes basically jerking off over the Tesla diner. So, of course, I had to go and find out exactly, is it as good as Frankie says? Because I've heard some mixed stuff about the Tesla diner. So I had to go and find out. And I would like, if I may, to read to you from the Top Gear websites. The Top Gear, of course, is the car show from the UK, as made famous by Jeremy Clarkson. Yep. Also a contender for one of the worst people alive, but that's a whole other story.
And so let me make a prediction. The burgers were basic, nothing special, and highly overpriced. That's just off the top of my head. I don't know why.
Well, the half dozen word summary was: food surprisingly good if overpriced, ridiculously long queues, and all a bit half-assed. So let me just read from the summary here. I'm not quite sure what I was expecting, but it all felt a bit dialed in. The staff didn't look particularly pleased to be there. The food was good, not great, but good burgers aren't hard to come by in LA for a lot less, and are served without the side order of politics and guilt. And all the touches that could make it a genuinely memorable experience, car-side servers on skates, Optimus robot serving popcorn, were absent. We came, we saw, we filled our bellies, we won't be going back. You can skip the rest.
Okay. Yeah, it's about what I pictured, because part of the problem is the people who will work there won't be Elon fans, because Elon fans can't get a fucking job. They've made being repulsive their entire personality.
Yeah, that's it. The people who want to be there are unemployable. The people who are employable don't want to be there.
Yep.
But it's, yeah. How surprised are you to find out that the Tesla diner is all veneer, no substance?
Did he not get the memo from the 90s about theme restaurants? They didn't last. I went to an amazing jungle restaurant when I was in high school, and they had waterfalls and all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
and ocean themed things. This was in Nebraska. Okay, so how long do you think a jungle ocean themed restaurant that's way too expensive? I mean, we're talking about $20 burgers that taste slightly better than McDonald's. So yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, you go out for food, it's got to be food, right? But it's the Cybertruck thing all over again, right? I saw some numbers recently. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they're pushing about 5,000 units for Cybertrucks annually, from a projected 125,000. I may have those numbers wrong, but not by much. It was a single-digit number of thousands, and it was significantly lower than the projections, or what they claimed anyway. I mean, Elon is no stranger to making ludicrous projections on the base of zero evidence. But the point is, you produce something, it's a flash in a pan, it's got this veneer of being a quality product. It isn't. Everybody who is one of your fans will go and buy one immediately, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's no follow-up. There's no repeat custom. There's no long tail to your marketing.
Right.
I can compare it to the electric car that my partner and I purchased a couple of years ago. This was a brand that was new to Australia. We got one of the very first ones to come into Australia. There was a shipment of a few thousand that came in, and then our car was on the next shipment of a few thousand, right? And over the last couple of years, because they're actually a good car, they're now surprisingly common on the roads.
That's how products work, or they're supposed to, unless you're like Dogecoin and your whole business model is a rug pull. So, it's very much in the wheelhouse of Cybertrucks.
Yeah, but that's it. The Cybertruck was that rug pull. It was that pump and dump. It was, here's our great big thing. Turns out it's shit. There's nothing to back it up. And so, 0% surprised to learn that the Tesla diner is basically the same.
What if electric car, but food?
But that's the thing. I don't want to impugn electric car. You've got to say,
right. How shitty of a person do you have to be to make electric cars be terrible?
I know. And in California as well, where they have a much higher than average take-up of electric vehicles, combining your fast charging station with a drive-in restaurant, that's a great concept for somewhere like California. But again, to borrow your point, how much of an idiot do you have to be to fuck that concept up?
And
that's what Elon has done.
It's like the Republican anti-Midas touch. I mean, Herman Cain back in the day, he was the CEO of Godfathers. Like, how do you make pizza gross? How did you make pizza gross?
I know. It's the second easiest thing in the world to cook.
And Papa John's, he's a Republican too. Like, how did you fuck up pizza? It's pizza, man. How did you fuck up a drive-in? Because drive-ins are gone, in America at least. But you're bringing that back with a futuristic car and all of the little amenities and bells and whistles of that. Sign me up. Oh, it's Elon, and he just shits on everything that he touches. So, okay,
it wouldn't be hard. I mean, I've been to the Rainforest Cafe. I've been to theme restaurant things before. Yep. I haven't been to medieval times, but if I ever get myself to the States, I'm definitely going to one, because for as cringy and cheesy it is, I'm watching jousting while I eat my gigantic turkey leg with a dagger.
Fuck yeah. And I will digress a little bit on that, because I have been, and I was given a tip by one of the cosplayers there to sit in the red and yellow knights section. So they all have their little tartans, and there's the green knight, there's the red yellow knight, there's the red knight, the yellow, blah, blah, blah. The red yellow knight always wins. because it's a scripted event. So when you're cheering with your friends in the gladiatorial pit while eating your turkey leg and drinking your fucking grog, and there's a guy falling off a horse, and the music and the lightning and the sorcerer and the real horses, like, dude, this is where it's at. Okay, I am down for this.
So I don't think I've mentioned this to you before, but the town that I live in has a castle.
Okay.
An actual castle. It is a reproduction. It was built in the 70s, but it has a castle. And at this castle, they do have jousting. And a guy who lives here is one of the best jousters in the world, because there is still competitive jousting in the world.
Yes.
And I've been to a couple of these things, like they're not quite Ren fairs on the scale that you have them in the States, but they're a reasonable Australian approximation. It's fine. It's fun. You go, you eat the food, you see the costumes. It's great.
I'm just picturing it. We still wear our jeans, of course. We're not going to get all dressed up.
No, well, the people, cosplay isn't quite as much of a culture here as it is in the States. Yeah. So the people at the fair are all in their, boobs first Ren fair outfits, but most of the attendees don't.
Yeah.
But my point is, I've been to live jousting before, and I 100% understand why, before we invented television and or pornography, jousting was such a big thing. Because honestly, unless you've seen it live, you really don't have an appreciation of how dramatic it is that two dudes wearing full plate on a 1,000-pound thundering horse charging at each other with gigantic chunks of wood pointed at each other. It's fun, man. It's really, really dramatic. So yeah, that's why if I ever get to the States, I'm 100% going to medieval times.
Yeah, I don't know why that doesn't get more credit as like super alpha male shit, because it's like, you want to play chicken with horses and armor, dude. Yeah.
How much would you pay to go to jousting as an Olympic sport?
Oh, why isn't it? I think it's time.
We make horses do a bunch of other dumb shit in the Olympics.
There's fencing, so it's not like you can't commit violence against a partner. And even when it's scripted, it's like, dude, that's well, maybe that's why, because it's super highly dangerous and you could die if somebody shoves a pike in your helmet and kind of brains you a little bit. So there's that.
Yeah.
But fencing, though, you could take safety precautions.
Yeah, absolutely. You can take safety precautions. And it's not as if we don't have wrestling, boxing,
MMA.
Well, MMA, of course, yeah, but I'm just thinking of strictly Olympic sports. There's plenty of one-on-one sports with an element of danger in them in the Olympics already.
Yeah.
So why not jousting? Why not get the horses to do something cool instead of something lame? And yes, dressage people, I am talking to you. Dressage is shit. Like, make your horse prance, then make it stop. You get points for stopping? Why the fuck not? Is this an event? Who knows? Who cares? It's rich people and horses. If we're going to have rich people and horses, let's have rich people and horses whacking the shit out of each other with huge chunks of wood.
Amen. And I'm brought back to the Bush administration era. Michael Brown, the head of FEMA, he was so qualified for FEMA because he ran dressage horse competitions. And he was doing, seriously, he went from dressage horse to head of FEMA, and he was doing the meme like he's the weak man that created bad times because we went from jousting to dressage. Really? Oh.
I mean, even show jumping has that element of the dramatic about it. Your horse is going fast, and there's knocking shit over, and they jump the thing. It's fun, but dressage, man.
Your average rodeo has more shit going on. Like, at least they rope the cattle or they do the barrel thing.
They do a thing.
They do a thing. It's not, we pranced a little bit and then we paused. Okay.
Yeah. Making your horse go kind of sideways on a 45-degree angle, that's not a thing.
I realize it's difficult. It is difficult to train a horse to do that. Okay. It's also difficult to train a dog to do a flip or something, but still they do, like, their little course has a lot of really cool shit for the dog to do, like run up the ramp and then run through the tunnel, and there's shit to do rather than, oh look, I moved slightly this way and now I'm going this way. No, that's not impressive.
All right. Let's
Anyway.
go to before I start going on about some kind of Marxist rant about the economics of equestrian events, let's go to our third clip because this one is fun. And once again, I'm just going to take a moment to queue up the video here. So before I find the correct point on the video, I just want to point out to our audience this little 325 in the corner here. Most of the videos that we watch are recorded posts of live streams, and inevitably they start with a minute of hold music over the title graphic.
I don't get why, but that is pretty ubiquitous in that world. And just let me pause for a second to say, I love it that when you pause it, the ad still continues.
Oh, yeah. The grift never ends. So usually they're too lazy or arrogant or careless about their audience to edit out that first 60 seconds. This one is different. This one gives us a full 3.5 minutes of, and I cannot use this word with enough emphasis, terrible worship music.
Oh, no.
I am not going to subject our audience to it. I'm going to skip past as quickly as I can, but it's just the worst. Christian music is the fucking worst. Anyway, let me find my timestamp. Absolutely the fucking up.
Wow.
Snip. Yeah.
Just that snippet brings back the youth praise band days from the Lutheran Church. Just memories.
A little bit of PTSD for you?
CTSD with Christ.
So let me introduce the people on the screen here. So Steve Schultz is I
know this guy. He's is that Blobfish where he just says "wow" all the time?
Yes. Tell us more. Okay. Tell us. You introduce Steve Schultz to us, please.
Okay, Steve Schultz. I regularly watch Dusty Smith, who has his own YouTube show, and he started doing it nightly now. And he always cuts to Steve, and he calls him Blobfish. So I only know him as Blobfish. Probably because he resembles a blobfish, and his catchphrase is "wow." That's literally all he has to say, and he always has just super wingnut, batshit people on to talk about how they had a prophecy about how Donald Trump was going to reign for 1,000 years on Earth, and all of that stuff. And all he ever says is "wow." So yeah, the anti-black hole of charisma is Steve. Yay.
Oh,
I'm so glad you brought this is a fun surprise for me. I know who you're talking about.
Yep. And so the woman next to him, her name is Krista Alicia, I don't care. She describes she describes herself as an apostolic prophetic warrior. I don't know too much about her, but I'm very interested because she's also very clearly Jewish, which is made very obvious on her website if you go and visit that. What I can't get a handle on is whether she's officially one of these Jews for Jesus we've heard so much about.
I can predict with pretty alarming regularity that she is going to prophesy for us. At least that's my prediction.
This is interesting. Pin in that because I'm going to roll the clip for a minute or so, and then we'll talk about why that's a really important pin about the prophecy. Okay, let's roll.
All right.
Rational reason for me to feel what I'm feeling. So I know that it's the Lord trusting me with his heart and with his emotions. Start praying. And then all of a sudden I get this vision where I'm seeing Jesus standing in between John and Ozzy in heaven.
Fucking called it.
And I was really taken aback. And if I'm being completely honest, I was actually, even me being the wild woman that I am, I was just a little bit offended.
Wild woman.
Seeing Ozzy Osbourne there, because he called himself the Prince of Darkness.
How dare you,
standing
Jesus?
next to Jesus, like in the heavens, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, so what is going on here? I began to look
I disagree
deeper,
with you,
and
I thought it was grace
watching
and
John
forgiveness.
MacArthur, and he's looking out over the globe, like they're standing at, you know, I guess not necessarily on a cloud, but on the balcony of heaven. Okay.
Yeah.
Right
balcony
on the edge of the crystal sea that leads into the throne room. And they're looking out over the earth, and John was literally looking at all of his life, and
he knew what was going on in John's head.
was grieving over his pride, over his rebellion, over his releasing a partial truth over the body of Christ, but leading many into witchcraft and rebellion against.
So it's like in that moment, you're realizing he's realizing it.
Yes, like he was realizing it. And what's fascinating, Steve, is I've actually seen this before. You know, it.
So I'm just going to pause it there, because if you've been watching closely, you will see no fewer than 3 facial piercings in Krista's face to go with ear piercings, all of which are, of course, in contravention to the Leviticus prescription against body modifications. Yeah, she's got the cheek, she's got the upper lip, and there is one down in the lower lip here as well. Now, the man she is talking about is a man named John MacArthur, who died roughly the same time as Ozzy Osbourne. I think John MacArthur died a day or 2 days beforehand.
Was he the preacher?
He was a preacher, yes.
Okay.
He was a creationist. He was a young earth creationist.
Right.
He was the chancellor and former chancellor and former president of the Masters College, which is a Bible college in Santa Clarita, California. It is listed by Pride Nation as one of the worst colleges for LGBTQ students.
What?
Because of course, I know. Because of course, John MacArthur was also a big old bigot and homophobe. Right. So John MacArthur, conservative Christian, young earth creationist, homophobe, bigot, and cessationist. Now, I did not know what a cessationist was, but apparently cessationism is the branch of theology that says that all of the magic powers that Jesus had, that his apostles had, things like prophecy, things like healing the lame and fixing the blind and all that shit, that all ceased when Jesus ascended. Hence the name cessationist. This is opposition to continualism, which is that those gifts continued on the earth. Very clearly, we have Krista, who described herself, like I said, as a prophetic apostolic warrior, who believes that she has the gift of prophecy, talking about a guy who does not believe that anybody in this modern world has the gift of prophecy. And this is why she is mentioning his pride and his leading people into witchcraft and his partial truth over the body of Christ.
He wasn't worshiping the right way. Of course.
Even amongst, and this is a point that we need to remind ourselves of constantly, even amongst devout right-wing Christians, they still find these tiny little things to disagree over. So if you're not doing Jesus in exactly their way, you're doing Jesus wrong.
Christians are Tool fans.
Yes.
Because no one hates Christians more than other Christians.
As a Tool fan, I'm offended by how highly accurate that statement is.
Makes sense.
So we'll just let it roll for a minute again, because she does start talking about Ozzy.
It says in scripture that at the end of our lives, everything that passes through the fire that was of things of eternal value or precious things like, gems and gold and silver, that will stand the test of the fire, and that will end up being our eternal reward, while the things that were not built on Christ are going to be like wood, hay, and stubble, and they'll be burned up. Well, Jesus is the fire that those things pass through.
That's true. That's the truth.
So anything that is built on the pure foundation of Christ becomes our reward in heaven, and anything that is built for ourselves doesn't stand the test of his fiery presence.
We have the blobfish
lost.
Just nodding.
And so he was John MacArthur
along.
and Ozzy both. They were seeing for the first time their failures, and I could totally witness with that moment, right? Like, I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, how could he grieve the Holy Spirit? And I'm being a little judgmental, if I'm being honest. I was being judgmental. And then I see Ozzy, and he's seeing for the first time that the high that he had been chasing his whole life was actually the love of God.
Oh, God.
And that he was actually called to be a spiritual father to a generation of like wild worshipers that would release a sound of reformation and revival in his generation.
Yeah. So once again, we have a Christian claiming to know the mind of a person they have never met before. Never mind all of the, cookie cutter type Christian metaphors and similes of, Jesus is the fire and all these precious things will survive the fire and blah, 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 blah. It's crap. I don't care. I genuinely don't care about all of that. What I care about is that you have a person. You have Steve, who is just nodding credulously along. Why, yes, everything you are telling me is 100% true, and I don't question any of it. Yeah. And you have another person. Yeah. No, that's still too charismatic, man. You got to dial it down. You got to bring it down a notch. There we go. Yeah. Slump of the shoulders. Yeah. That's the stuff. Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to be extra jowly.
Yes, for those of you who are not watching the video, Steve Schultz is roughly 85% jowl.
Yeah, picture Hooch from Turner and Hooch, but with less charisma.
Honestly, put a pair of glasses and a shirt on the picture of the blobfish that we've all seen, and you have Steve Schultz.
Yep.
Simple as that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, with roughly the same amount of energy and charisma. And on the other side, you have Krista, who is claiming to know the mind of a man she's never met before. And of course, that high that he was chasing down in his life with all the evils like the devil music and the drugs and so on, it was actually the love of God. He
had a
was
God-shaped hole in his
love
heart.
of God. He did.
Yeah.
And that's Krista's prophecy.
And not just Ozzy's mind, but the mind of John MacArthur, who is regretting all of these other things and wondering, why am I worthy to stand in heaven? Like, how does she know these things? That is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Absolutely incredible. And if you ask Steve, it's because he 100% believes every single word she says. And so when she said it has to be the Spirit of God, while that was the Spirit of God, no question, no further questions. Stop asking questions.
Of course. And what gets me the most mad about stuff like this is knowing how much money I could make if I didn't have a conscience. Because I could talk all day about what Jesus is thinking in heaven and who is the redeemed and who is the saved and who is the denied. 100%. I could just throw this out there as though it's fact, and they would just eat it up.
Yeah. If you want to add a little bit of depression to your afternoon, you can look up both Steve Schultz and Krista Alicia. Again, don't care. And you can see the size of congregation that both of them have. You can see the size of audience that both of them have. And
yeah,
it's enough to make you want to punch yourself into unconsciousness.
Yep.
That concludes our coverage of the deaths of Hulk Hogan and Ozzy Osbourne and how Rumble responded to them. Next episode, we will return to what was our usual pattern beforehand. But yeah, any final thoughts on how Rumble dealt with the deaths of Ozzy and Hulk?
Well, about as I pictured. Let's lionize the racist steroid abuser, and let's kick to the curb a man who managed to raise hundreds of millions of dollars for cancer research by reaching people with his music, which was pioneering and revolutionary for the time that it came out, and fostered an entire genre of music. Let's just hand wave that away. But my final thought is, as it's Halloween, our studio has been haunted by a witch. So if you are hearing some background music, no, you're not hallucinating. We have been haunted, and perhaps the spirits have descended, as was prophesied. So until then, we will finally dig ourselves out of this hole, and we will stop reading the obituaries. We'll go back to page 6 of Rumble to get the D through the Z listers and show you just how horrible they can be on things that aren't so sensitive, like the death of a celebrity, but things less important, like how our government is run, as literally Trump is taking down the East Wing of the White House with a bulldozer. More on that later.
That'll bring down the price of eggs.
Exactly. America's great again. Okay, until next time, thank you for joining us. Be sure to check us out next time when we get back to our regularly scheduled program and we delve into the swamp further and further in to show you that there is no bottom and there is no worst, only worse. I've been your favorite bard, Korak the Bard.
And I am Dr. Scorpion the Bird.
All the music and commentary and thoughts are our own, and we thank you for watching us.